by giving my obeisances to Sri Ganesh. Gajamukhamamara pravaram siddhikaram vignaharataram gurum vagamanayana pradishmishtikarim mishtadevatam vande. I bow to Lord Ganesh, who's the remover of all kind of obstacles and the destroyer of obstacles. And he grants vision, insight to understand all Vedic knowledge. And this is also the favorite and Ishtadev of Bhava Mishra, who wrote Bhav Prakash. And if you ever want to do a nadi or meet one of the Vaidyas in the line of Bhava Mishra, then he lives in LA, Vaidya Mishra. Awesome, awesome, beautiful Vaidya. He is in the same line as myself. So I give this, I'm reading from there. And now from chapter 2. Shripati Pada Prasadada Shirbhir Bhumi Devanam Bhava Prakash Namna Granthoyam Pathyatam Sarve. By the grace of Shripati, who is the husband of Lakshmi, Lord Vishnu, and blessings of all the gods of earth and all the Brahmins, may this text, Bhav Prakash, that I'm speaking from today, be studied by you all. May it manifest from me to you, and let us all be a medium, and from you to others, and from them, and may the knowledge pass from all of us. Okay. I wanted to introduce a little bit Bhava Prakash. We keep on saying that a lot. What does that exactly mean? So in the Laghutraya, we know the Brihatraya is Acharya Charaka, and Charak Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, Ashtanga, Vagabhat's Ashtanga Sangraha. So I take up all the Laghutraya. They are smaller, and there's only one book. There's not 5 books. And so a little easier to reference. Plus they talk about, some of them take things from all the books. So it's a little bit of what we call in Hindi, kunji, like indexing of everything is included. So one of the book is Madhav Nidan, which we will be doing the next module after this one would be Madhav Nidan. For now, the entire course of Bhaishajya Kalpana is based on Bhava Prakash, Bhaishajya Ratnavali, and Sharangdhar Samhita. It's a combination of these 3. And today, the entire class is from Bhava Prakash. So I wanted to introduce you to the section 1 of Bhava Prakash written by Bhava Mishra. Purva means before, the first section. This literally means the first section. It starts off with what is Ayurveda, the history of Ayurveda. If you remember the history of Ayurveda that I talk about, in which I talk about Indra came down and gave to a seer called Bharadwaj, and then he came down. Right in block 1, I used to talk about that a lot, Leah, especially around your time. That's from Bhava Prakash, the history and the creation of Ayurveda that we talk about. There's only one difference. In Bhava Prakash, Acharya Charaka is said to be an incarnation of Shesha, or the same person who's also the incarnation of Patanjali. So Shesha is the big snake with a lot of heads on which Lord Vishnu sits on. So he came as Charaka according to this book, and he also came as Patanjali. And Chara means a spy who came as a spy. Nobody knew who he was. And he, one of the jobs that Sheshanag does is he manifests knowledge. So a Patanjali Sutra, same person, same Shesha, and Charaka also same. And this is one version according to Bhava Prakash. Then it starts off with the creation of universe. Pretty much we talk about this in block 1. You know, a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, many Ayurvedic colleges in the United States, they don't want to talk about this because we are talking about gods. But this is written in the books. It's like reading the Bible and saying, I don't want to talk about Jesus. It's just, you can't. It's that's how it is. Then it goes on and talks about embryology, and we will do a class on embryology later on. Right now, not, but I don't know if you're aware. In 2013, or was it 2013, Leah? I did a class on embryology from Bhava Prakash, and I meditated on that, and I did all the mantras and everything. And then, of course, after the class was done, I got pregnant. So there you go. And then there's the care of children. Then it talks about, of course, Dinacharya. And then this one is in a lot of Ayurvedic books, you will also see it in other Ayurvedic Lagutrai. There's a section called Mishran. Mishra means where they don't really know where to classify anything. Mishra means mixed. So they just put whatever is mixed and miscellaneous in the Mishra Varga. And then if you remember the block 2 Ahara that we did, in that, if you remember, Atul started that class with the mango, remember? Amradi Varga, we already did this portion. And then Dhanya is grains. He also did this. Mamsha is meat. We never do that anyway. Shaka we did not do with you guys, but we have done it with this new group. So I'll just share the class with you. Shaka means green vegetables in Ayurveda. So it pretty much talks about different kind of spinach, different type of greens and whatnot. Kritan Varga is the preparation of Ayurvedic food, which also Atul covered. Vari is different types of waters. He just did this class a couple of weeks ago with the last group. I know we've just been, creating curriculum like crazy. And then he will, I think we've already covered Takra, milk, not yet, but it's ready. So when we do the class on milk, takra, which is buttermilk, and the butter, which is a specific category, an entire chapter, and different types of milk, different types of buttermilk, and different type of butters. And this is talking about milk from sheep, milk from camel, milk from cow, milk from buffalo, milk from black cow, milk from white cow. So it goes a little bit in detail, but he's going to do it as one class. And when he does that for the Ahara group, we will just send you an invite. So when you get an invite for a Saturday, don't be surprised, but I'll let you know. So that way I won't have to do it here because he's already doing it for Ahara. Then there is a, Grita Varga, an entire chapter on different types of ghees, color of ghees, how they're made. And this one, don't even ask. Mutra Varga is different type of urines. So it was said that, urine from, of course, if you look at Bhaishya Ratnavali, the urine of cow has been used for, in Ayurveda, it's mentioned again and again, the cow dung, it's a fuel. It's used as a biofuel, and then the mutra of cow. But here it talks about different types of urines and their property, therapeutic property. Then, of course, we will talk about arishnams and wines. Usually I will go and talk about it from Sharangdhar Samhita, but we have a few more classes this time than we had with the last group. So we will talk about, and then you have Taila, which is oils. Then you have Ikshu. Again, Ikshu, Atul is covering. So Vari, Dukda, Takra, Navneet, Krita, and Ikshu is being covered by Atul in Ahara with the block 2. And this was already done. So Vari is already done. So whatever he's already done, I'll share with you, and then you can also attend the Saturday classes. So, and we've also finished Karpuradi Varga. We've also finished Pushpa Varga. So today we'll do Guduchyadi Varga. Then what's left for us is Haritaki, Vata, the Taila, Grita, and wines. That way we are pretty much covering the entire portion of Bhava Prakash, chapter 6, that talks about different categories. So today we are going to do Guduchyadi Varga, which is part of chapter 6. Is it all making sense what we've been doing? From block 1. So Guduchyadi Varga is portion of subsection 4 of chapter 6. So before that was Karpuradi Varga that we did. We are not really following it in one, one after the other. We are just taking a little bit in block 2, a little bit in block 3. So let's talk about Guduchi Varga. So Guduchi is Tinospora cordifolia. So this is a category of Tinospora or Tinospora. So our learning objective is a little bit talking about the history and mythological perspective. When I started the college, um, I would talk about gods and the mythological perspective and the spiritual perspective. I mean, Ayurveda is a Veda. Veda is are Hindu. They are spiritual texts thousands of years ago. But then, I got so much feedback. No, you should not talk about these things because you're trying to establish yourself as an Ayurveda college. So I was a little bit, I wasn't sure. So slowly I, stopped talking about it. But then Dr. Aparna came on board, and she is not, she doesn't hold back, and neither does Kirti. So, here I am, full blast, because to pretend that Ayurveda is not a philosophy, to pretend it is not Vedic, so that we can gain respect as a clinical practitioner is frankly being a fool. It is what it is. So I will talk a little bit about history and mythological perspective. And another thing is, when you have some anecdotes or some stories that go with certain herbs, they tend to stick. It's a story. And then we'll examine Guduchi, Bilva, Gokshur, Tambul, Laghu, Panchmul, Kalpanas, and so on. And the focus for today would just be the Svarasa, which is the juice. Yeah, Neelam, it's true. No, I can go on and on about it. But yeah, I mean, it is Vedic. It is, there's no point hiding from it. It's just because we want some respect. And I get a lot of letters from emails from Ayurvedic practitioners and Vaidyas who've moved from India to US. We want to work in your college, and they just want to talk about their rotation that they did in a hospital, which was not an Ayurvedic hospital, and they don't want to talk about Vedas. So, I'm not interested. Here we go. So this is very interesting. Guduchi, we all know Guduchi is a rasayana. Absolutely, you have to. And people have put our college down, made fun of me, made fun of Atul in the past. Oh, these are just, but we are not going to. I mean, if you've ever attended Dr. Russell Ladd's workshop, he's exactly like this. It has to be Guru Shishya Parampara. It has to flow from, my guru. Atul is one of my teachers too. My guru to you, and from you to your clients and to your students, and from them forward it has to go. Anyway, coming back, Guruchi is a rasayana. One of the synonyms and name of Guruchi is Amrit. There is a lot, I mean, in Sikhs, when they become vegetarian, Neelam is a Sikh, they use a word called Amrit Chakhya Hoya, meaning that this person has taken nectar that is being offered. It's a beautiful concept. So, Guduchi is the actual Amrit or nectar. So I don't know how many of you know the story of Shriram. So basically, Shriram or Ram is the incarnation of Vishnu. And Lakshmi, he came as a human being to show how to be a perfect human, or Purushottama. And his wife, Sita, was abducted by a demon called Ravana. And believe it or not, Ravana is a famous Ayurvedic practitioner. In one of my last classes that I did with you, I was actually reading from Ravan Samhita, and Atul was horrified. But he was a Pandit. He was born a Brahmin, and then he became a demon. So he was actually a famous Vaidya. He abducted Lakshmi or Sita. And then, there was a big fight, and Shriram defeated all the demons and the works, good triumphs over evil. At the end, Shriram was, he had a lot of apes. I don't want to use the word apes. They were vanaras. They're neither monkeys nor humans. They're somewhere in the middle, like the Australopithecus man, which they call man, but they're vanaras. They're neither human. And this is going back, I don't know how many millions of years ago, like the Australopithecus man. It is not langur, Monica ji. Langur is a monkey. These were vanaras. You know how they show, if you look at the history of Homo sapien, they show the how the shape of the skulls changed, and there's there before Homo sapien, just before Homo sapien, you had these Homo erectus. Yes, they kind of that because the shape of the skull is different. So these were like Homo erectus, but they had perfect speech, they could fight, and they were intelligent. And this is before the Western time of, they still thought that Homo sapien hadn't. At that time, Shriram was ruling. Anyway, so at that time, Indra, who's like Zeus or Jupiter, and he has the same weapon, he showered nectar from the heavens, and the nectar means Amrit, to revive everybody who had fought in the war. And this Amrit is Guduchi. How beautiful is that? So when when you talk of liver, Guduchi is amazing. And once you know all the properties of Guduchi, then all the herbs, there's so many herbs that you already know, that are part of Guduchi have almost the same quality. Yes, Monica, the Jamavant, Hanuman, like Sri Hanuman. Hanuman, everybody knows Hanuman, or Anjaneya, son of Anjana, who was an angel. So Hanuman is actually a son of an angel, but she got cursed to get a monkey face. And Hanuman is an Ansha avatar, meaning he's partial expansion of Shiva. And Anjaneya was a devotee of Shiva. All right, moving back. So there's a lot of mythological stuff going on. So Guduchi, can you remember anything about Guduchi? I mean, we all know Guduchi is, we all know what Guduchi is. Anything at all? Is it good for which dosha? Is it heating? Is it cooling? Yes, it's cooling. It's great for pitta. Thank you. Yes. So all the herbs and all the dravya and all the kalpanas that will be in this classification, oh, she's written privately to me. She's just written it's cooling and pitta pacifying. They would all be cooling. Guruji is pungent, bitter. It has a sweet vipak. It is a rasayani. It is sangrahini. It causes constipation and it absorbs water from the intestines. It's astringent. It's heating, but it's easy to digest. It's agni deepan. It mitigates all three doshas. It digests ama. It cures burning sensation. It is great for diabetes, kasha, cough, pandu, anemia, jaundice, leprosy, skin issues, vata rakta, which is gout, fever, parasites, pathogens, vomiting, all of this, pretty much anything that's related to vata, it's great for all of that. But any herb that is also related in Guduchi Varga will have similar qualities. So it'll be hard to find a cooling herb in this classification because it's a classification. But remember, not everything is a rasayana. Not every single herb that we'll talk about as we go along would be a rasayana. I'm just going to go back to Guduchi. Yes, this is a really, really good, I think you should probably be able to understand this. If you look at this, Guduchi Katuka, Tikta, bitter, Swadu, it's actually tasty, Pak after Swadu Paka, sweet after digestion, Rasayani, meaning it's Rasayan, Sangrahini. Sangrahini means that it's actually absorbing water from the intestines. Kashaya also means astringent. Ushna, so Kashaya, Ushna, when Kashaya and Ushna come together and become a compound noun in Sanskrit, Ushna becomes Ushna. Light, Balya gives strength. Agni Deepan lights Agni. Dosha Gaya Daha, all the doshas pacifying. Daha, burning sensation either in fever or inflammation. Meha, so diabetes is either called Madhumeha or Prameha. So I'll just talk a little bit about diabetes here. So there's about 7 kinds of diabetes described. The word uses meha. So in the West, I think they recognize somebody who's pre-diabetic. So madhumeha has kind of a pre-diabetic person, and prameha is now it's actually become diabetes. And then there's of course the kapha type, vata type, and so on. The autoimmune disorder would be more vata type, adult onset. and would be probably the kapha type. I don't have it on the top of my head right now, but meha, it's a Guduchi is great for that. For meha, they've just written meha, whether it's madhumeha, prameha, diabetes support. Kasha, kasha is as in cough. Pandu, pandu means anemia. Kamala, kamala can be neonatal jaundice. In Kamala is usually, when we say the word Kamala, it usually means neonatal jaundice, and it also means jaundice. It's one word, fits all. Kushta, all kind of skin diseases. I mean everything, even leprosy. And Vata Jvara. So fever that has all the gunas and qualities of Vata. And it's also called Madhuparani, Amrit, Amritavali. I just told you Amrit. Very interestingly, she's a female. So till now we've been talking about herbs, herbs, herbs. And now I'm telling you that Guduchi is a female. Why? Because she is Shakti. Because she came from the nectar that was distributed by the gods. She's female Shakti. She has to be worshipped. And Tulasi is also female. So you cannot be rough with a woman. So this is a lady. So you have to be very gentle. The way you prepare things, the way you use Guduchi to make herbs, the way you take it. She's a female. All of these things. Yeah, herein I've added so when someone has gout, we say Vata has entered Rakta Dhatu, Chardi vomiting, Ranjak Pitta, elevated liver enzymes, and so on and so forth. Let's go back. So this I'm going to come to the end. Yeah. Has anyone ever had pan or tambul besides Monica G and me? It's called pan. Yeah, of course, Neelam, great. They have pan ice cream nowadays in Indian cash and carry here. No, you can get pan from an Indian store. You can go to New Jersey and get as much pan as you like. Of course. So if you find an Indian store, they sell pan. It's awesome. But usually the pan that we eat in India, they'll actually put supari, which is yeah, they will put tobacco, the chewing tobacco in it. And that's why India has the largest amount of tongue cancer in the entire world. They just chew pan like nobody's business. But if you were not to put the tobacco part in it, tambul is an amazing herb. Yeah, no, the pan itself is not to be blamed. It's the fact that they put the chewing tobacco on top of the pan leaf. But the pan leaf is sacred. The pan leaf is offered to the gods. Pan leaf it's written in the books that it should be. There are certain items that are to be offered to higher beings, whosoever, whatever that higher being may be. Yes, and if you really want to make a really nice, really amazing therapeutic dessert, take some rose jam, put it on the pan leaf and eat it. It's usually sometimes you go to an Indian restaurant and you can buy a pan and they will give you a pan with wrapped up, and then they put a silver leaf on the top. It's really, really tasty. This is one of my favorite verses. I don't even need to practice. Usually if I'm speaking Sanskrit, I practice with Atul, but this one is amazing. Tambulvali tambuli nagini vagavallari tambulam vishadam ruchyam tikshno ushnam tuvaram saram kashyatiktam katuksharam rattapittakaram laghum balyam shleshmasya dauragandhya malavata shrampaham. Beautiful, isn't it? So it is kashaya, stringent, bitter, katu, raktapitta, raktapitta pacifying light, gives strength, helps shleshma or kapha. Dorgandhya removes all kind of durgandh smells. Malavata, vata in mal, meaning it helps with the hard, dry stools. Shram, and also gives, it relaxes and helps with the stress. And pretty much it has all the qualities of Guduchi. Why? Because it's in the Guduchyadi Varga. Very, very easy to find. And you can get pan ice cream, guys. You can get pan ice cream. It's just ridiculous. Very easy to make if you have an ice cream maker. But I didn't say that. It's really beautiful. So, Tambula, instead of calling it pan, we were referring to it as a Sanskrit name. It is accepted as part of divine trees and creepers. So there are some trees, just having a leaf, having the tree, having a picture of it will bring auspiciousness. For example, banana tree. Then fig tree. I once attended Dr. Vasant Lad's workshop, and it was about how trees have doshas. It was amazing. He told us, I'll tell you later, he told a story of a fig tree. And he told a story of his friend when he was doing a rotation when he was a kid back in Pune, in Maharashtra, and he had a friend, and they just started their Ayurvedic practice, and Dr. Lad's practice just took off, and his friends didn't, and his friend was feeling pretty bad, and Dr. Lad went to his house and saw that there was a fig tree that he was not worshiping. So Dr. Lad worshipped the fig tree for him, and this friend of his went back to his clinic, and he had like 65 patients waiting for him, and this person's clinic used to be empty. So just to give an example how important it is to give importance to these trees. Yes, we are tree worshippers. So some of the most amazing auspicious: tulsi, number 1, number 2, banana, number 3, tambul, number 4, fig. Fig is like on the top of the list. If you have a fig tree or even a picture of these, amazing, 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 amazing. And of course, lotus is very, very divine. Everybody knows lotus is divine. Hibiscus, very, very dear to Shiva. Bilva or Baal, I'll be talking about Baal as well, and how these things are used in offerings and how to increase the efficacy of the herbs. It can be offered to gods and then to your client, and especially it kind of removes all kind of karma. Many, many years, let me stop recording. So pan is very much used for offering, and it's very quickly accepted as well. And if you have someone who's a non-believer, even a picture of pan, even a photo, even talking about it right now, we're talking about tambul. It's raining auspiciousness on us. All right. Of course, mango leaves are also used in weddings. Mango leaves are used in all kind of pujas and so on. And we have now, I think, maybe 18 banana plants. So we gave one to Brian. Next time you guys are here, we are giving you more banana plants. Anyway, let's go back. It has every single thing. The only thing I would say that is different from Guduchi is that it is not a rasayana. So it has pretty much every quality and every guna, even down to vipak, pretty much sweet vipak, pretty much the same ditto as Guduchi, but it is not a rasayana. That means it is heating, and if you are going to give it to someone who's pitta, they will suffer a little bit. So they must be given in a small amount. This is a really pretty picture from Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, BBD ISKCON. I think it was done by Atul's god sister when she was new there. Here Krishna is sitting in the middle and all the cowherd boys are offering. And this is from, there is a festival called the Harvest Festival in South India, in Kerala. And they offer this to Krishna. It's the first harvest of the year. And you can see they're offering clothes, usually a sari or something, some flowers, banana leaf, fruits, and what is that? And of course, coconut must be offered for anything. And this is your tambul. This is offering of tambul. And if you ever start your own business or some kind of endeavor, this kind of offering, even if you're not offering it to a deity, just offering it to your guru or whosoever you're offering it to, or even to Mother Nature, it will bring a lot of abundance. So this is, and The remnants then are called prasad. And these are just some mantras that I wrote if you ever want to offer to. You don't have to do it in Sanskrit, but Sanskrit is the language of angels and devas, so that's what they speak. Naivedyam samarpayami, tulsi patram samarpayami, tambulam samarpayami. So I just wanted to put it out there. So now we come to Bilva. The first one we talked about Guruchi, the second we talked about Tambula or Pan, and Bilva as in Bail. We all know Bail. So instead of going very much into detail about what Bail does, and we'll talk about that too. So there's a few things. So there's an Ayurvedic grasses. Spell Bail, Bilva. In Hindi we call it Bail, but it's called Bilva. It's a tree. It usually grows in very humid. It needs a lot of rain, so it'll grow in tropical climates. It needs a lot of rain. When I would go to West Bengal every single year, my Guruji is from West Bengal, and he has his ashram there. And we would take a train to Calcutta, and then we would drive down to Navadvip, which are 9 islands around Ganga. And there is no good food there, there are no restaurants, it's just ashram. So we pretty much lived on bail because we don't know what we were eating from the streets, and sometimes we didn't feel like eating from the ashram. But if we would eat bail, fresh bail every single day. So it made sure that we wouldn't get Delhi belly and any kind of pathogen, or it's one of those amazing things that even if you end up eating something like that, it'll just flush it through. Yeah, I mean, yes, the Delhi belly. Been there, done that, worn the t-shirt many times. Okay. So Tulsi is also female, and we need to take care of not. I know people, when they make Tulsi tea, they will put her in boiling water. You don't put Tulsi in boiling water because she's Shakti. And then Durva is another Ayurvedic herb very, very dear to Lord Ganesh. So we can sometimes offer Durva to Ganesh. If you can't find it, you can find it in a pill form too. Similarly, Bilva or Bail tree or Bilva tree is sacred to Shiva. So when he is visiting earth, he actually sits under a Bilva tree. Mostly every single temple that you go in India, this is just a little picture of. Yeah, you can do Hima with Tulsi. Absolutely. You can put it in hot water, but not boiling water, because we believe that, she's alive. When Atul, we have a greenhouse here, and Atul is growing different kinds of Tulsis, and he's growing different. I mean, he's actually the arborist of the family. I mean, I'm the herbalist, he's the arborist. And every time he plants a tree or anything, and I've seen him do it, he will do mantras, he will sing to his trees. He's got 3 types of lotuses growing. He will, he wrote a software which monitors the weather and gives him updates back while he's in the office. No, Bilva is another tree. I'm just telling you different things that are all part of Shakti. Bilva is another, it's separate. Yes. Tulsi is not part of Guduchyadi Varga. Tulsi leaf is not part of that. Okay. Bilva is also dear to Lakshmi. So if anybody who is taking Bilva or has Bilva leaf, it will also bring money and auspiciousness. And so in India, when, in Vedic culture, we don't say, like when you go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, like when I go to my ashram sometimes up in Badger, up in California, as soon as I get there, there's a line of people who want me to check their pulse and whatnot. And then after you're done, they'll ask, how much Lakshmi will you accept? Nobody uses the word money. Yes, you use the word Lakshmi too. I know. It's so, to use the word money, that's so icky. And the first, yes, it was very hard. So finally Atul said, we are not an ashram. So, okay, we are not an ashram. So having bilva tree or having a picture of bilva tree or even having bilva in your medicine cabinet, it will bring auspiciousness and Lakshmi um, to your medicine cabinet and to yourself. So bilva is very interesting. Why? Because bilva you can, again, I'm not going into what the qualities of bilva are, because pretty much every herb and every dravya that we talk about within the Guduchi category has the same thing. It's heating. No, bilva is actually not heating unless it's in a raw form or in a cooked form. So that is, I'll talk about that in a little while. So when bilva fruit, not the is the fruit of bilva is actually cooling compared to the root and leaves, and it has a little different effect. And if the fruit is raw, it has a different effect. If the fruit is, it has a constipating effect, or it has a laxative effect. So if you're taking bilva very ripe, and I don't know how many of you have actually had ripened bilva. So Neelam, have you been to India? You have that mother dairy where you go and buy fruit, so you can buy bilva and make beautiful juice. Yes. So that kind would be more laxative. But if it's more raw, so when you're buying a dried bilva powder from a bulk store, we don't know whether because they do not tell you whether it's raw or whether it's, yes. For gastric upset, Bale is great. Monica G saying she's had Bale many times with gastric upset. But if you have it really ripened, it has a laxative effect. So the Mahabhutas and the gunas are changing as it ripens, kind of like what banana does. A ripened banana is more laxative, and a raw banana is more astringent. So the root of the tree is ipaka, means to cook. You basically take a little bit of fresh ginger, little bit of the root of the tree, and toasted rice. This is such a Bengali thing. I mean, West Bengal thing. They do it there, sitting under their huts. Bengal, Assam gets the highest amount of rain in the entire world. It's so green, it's not even funny, and everything is toasted rice. It's really tasty, this thing, and they will give it also to pregnant women for nausea and so on. And so basically, they make a kalpana. They take rice and toast it, and they will also sometimes, I've seen it do it with what you call rice flakes. Is that what you would call rice flakes? I don't know the English for it. Rice flakes. I think it's probably called flaked rice. Yeah. So you take flaked rice and you soak it in water a little bit, just for a minute, and it becomes really soft. And then you cook it with ginger and the root of bale. It's really tasty, great for all kind of intestinal disorders, nausea, and so on. And especially in a country like India. Yes, I know it's poha, but in English I think it's called flaked rice. And then they actually can extract an oil from bilva and then boil it with the juice. So they take the leaves of bilva, which kind of is three-shaped, not like the cannabis leaf, but it has three leaves, and they make a swarasa with it. Then they boil it, cool it down, and of course for diseases of the ear, it's amazing. Nasal diseases, it's amazing. Okay. No pressure. All right, now let's talk about fruit. In United States, when we talk about bilva, only the fruit is available. You really would not find root, but you can sometimes find leaves in Indian store, and they're usually dried, but they're selling it for puja purposes, just like pan leaves or tambul leaves. They're selling it for some kind of ceremony because it's needed for Shiv Puja, Shiv Puran. It would be, sometimes they're selling it for weddings, for Indian weddings, but it's really buying bilva powder all you get in US is the fruit part. So let's look at the fruit. The fruit, like I said, it has two properties. When the fruit is unripe and you pick it, it is very astringent. Then it's not sweet. It is not sweet when it's raw. So it's like a big green. I'll have to show you a picture. It's big and it's green and it's very, very fibrous and orange inside. Kind of looks like a melon, but it doesn't have the skin of a melon and it breaks very easily. And it just has this fiber, orange fiber inside. You actually cannot eat the fruit as it is. You have to make a juice out of it because all it is just an orange fiber. That's it. So if it is raw, it is not sweet. I've had it when it's not sweet. It's kind of a little bit tasteless, and it does give an astringent feeling in the mouth. But when it becomes ripened, you can taste the sugar, the fructose in it. It does contain tannin, which is also in tea, and it's very astringent to the bowels when it is a little bit raw. But mostly when they're picking up bilva for the purposes of, drying it and shipping it off to wherever they're going to use it, they will pick it up a little raw. Because if they start picking it up when it's ripe, which is when you're supposed to pick it, then it won't dry so well. And funnily enough, if you go to a Filipino store, and I was surprised, I went to a Filipino store and I couldn't read it because it was in a different language, but it was a bilva juice. And then we couldn't make out. But then I saw the same brand in a Thai store, and the Thai store. I make a lot of Thai food, and the owner of the store told me that it's bilva, and I was a little bit surprised by that. But yeah, it is actually popular in Asian countries. Wow. And they actually have a bilva soda. I mean, my God, the things they will do in Thailand. Well, I haven't really seen a bilva pill, but mostly you can buy like a bilva powder that you mix in water. It's kind of like a juice. And it's almost like isabagol, like a vegetable fiber that adds a bulk to the stool. That's what it is. It's just an orange, but it's the juice portion when you actually have it. It will also expel water from the intestines. Great if someone has, for ulcerative colitis, and when someone cannot hold anything, then it is given. Of course, not when they are really bad. Also, Crohn's disease. For my patients and my clients where they've had Crohn's disease, even in the past, I've given bilva. So the pulp of the the way I have had bilva all my life and prepared is the pulp of the dried bilva fruit. When my father was fighting cancer, I had my mom do the bilva fruit because he was pretty much, even if he were to take an antiemetic, he was just throwing up. So this kind of just dries out everything. So we were giving him this. So they take the pulp of the bilva fruit, not dried bilva fruit, just the pulp of the bilva fruit. You then mix it with arrowroot as an arrowroot powder, and dietetic bale. Yeah, that's a thing. People try to lose weight because it expels water. And because it has so much fiber in it, it's a fruit. Especially in a poor place. West Bengal is one of the poorest, second poorest state in India after Bihar. All other states are like, oh my God, they're almost like China now. And it's amazing. Also, another fruit that grows there is jackfruit. They're almost there. They have so much fiber and so much carbohydrate and so much energy that it's almost, you don't even have to have sustenance from grains because they will fill you up. So, it's very, very popular, and it grows everywhere. And I mean, if I were to go back and read all the things that bilva does, it's also called Shrifal. It's astringent, bitter, absorbs water, causes dryness, increases digestive fire, increases pitta. Unless it's a ripe fruit, then it is a laxative and decreases pitta, mitigates vata, mitigates kapha, strengthens, very easy to digest, and normally it's heating, especially when it's raw. It is amazing. Let's look at bilva leaves. And the reason I'm focusing on only few herbs is because they're so easily available here. You can get bilva fruit, bilva juice. Like I said, you've seen it in Filipino and Thai stores as a soda, as a juice. So in Indian store, I've actually seen like a bilva juice made from a fresh bilva, but then they seal it. So I don't know how long it's been sealed, but they make a concentrate and seal it, like the amla juice that you get, the amalaki juice. And it doesn't taste anything like the real thing, but it's still better. I would rather do a dried thing because when you dry something, it'll retain the prana a little bit more compared to, if you do a fresh juice or swarasa and then you can it or tin it or something. So the bilva leaves are pretty amazing. They have a specific affinity for vata kapha diseases. So, it is easy. Vata and kapha are absolutely opposite, but vata can increase the mucus. So if someone has a lot of phlegm and mucus, too much sugar imbalance. So also for diabetes mellitus, a few leaves can be chewed daily for the fresh juice drink. This also produces perspiration, so it clears the Svedavaha srotases. It reduces temperature and lowers fevers. So when I used to go to Bengal every single year in the ashram, we were going in the month of April. So from May, June, it's the monsoon season, and at that time the temperatures sometimes are reaching maybe 105, 110, and we were not wearing shoes because we were on a holy circumambulation of the holy cities. So, and we are walking. So you can imagine it. We used to get hot. The temperatures used to go up. We were like going crazy, and so we would just be drinking bilva and coconut all day. Also, fever, flu, fatigue. And now I'm going to show you this. So this is the Shiva Linga, and this is the Yoni, and this is the divine Shiva Linga. They are father and mother of the universe. And if you look at this pot, sometimes when puja is done, it's almost like a Shirodhara pot, which is put on the top. In fact, I've been thinking that I have a couple of Shirodhara pots lying around. I don't do it anymore. I will just start doing Shirodhara on my deities. And then they put yogurt, water, honey, ghee, coconut in it, and then they let it drip on Shiva, and then 3 shaped bilva leaf or bale fruit hibiscus is offered, and on Shivaratri, yes, on Shivaratri, Dhatura Patra. Andrew, you're gonna like this. Dhatura Patra is from ganja family. It's from cannabis family. It's an intoxicant, and Shiva loves it. And it's offered in a wine form. And in India, they will mix it with food on the day of Holi or on Shivaratri. Shivaratri is the marriage anniversary of Shiva with Shivani, with his wife Parvati, and they celebrate. So on the festival of Holi and festival Shivaratri in India, we never accept food from anyone. Who knows who will give you the Durapatra? Interestingly. The reason I wanted to show an offering, this is just one offering. It doesn't matter who you're offering to, who your deity is, who your guru is. Because we are Ayurvedic practitioners, for us, my deity is Krishna, but specifically from Ayurvedic perspective, I need to give some special puja to Shiva, Parvati, and Ganesha. because of, they are kind of in charge of diseases in this world, and Ganesha removes obstacles. So entire disease is given by Parvati, wife of Shiva. She's also called Durga. She's also Mother Nature. Durga means one who controls, what is like the jailer. Um, you know, uh, there's that British TV series that's been running for I don't know how many years. They have the old Dad's Army. Dad's Army, kind of those. She's the jailer, she she controls everything, and she controls all the diseases, and between she and Shiva, they're giving us the result of our karma, including disease. So even though I'm a worshipper of Vishnu and Krishna, I have to give some specific from my for my patients, for my clients, I have to give some special prayers to Shiva, Shivani, his wife, and also to Ganesha, just to make sure everything is running on course. Because if they're getting some karmic retribution, then Ayurveda is not going to help them. So it is our duty. I mean, I think it is our duty to help because we are the mediums. All right. So this is interesting. You would know. I made this chart, and believe it or not, almost every single herb in here, and it's all Guduchyadi Varga, meaning all of them are almost heating, but and they all have similar properties, but not everyone is a rasayana. So let's start with rasayana. You already know what ashwagandha is. So ashwagandha, guduchi, eranda means castor, as in castor oil, but you can actually get castor powdered. So you can get bulk herb. Of course, it's in Iranda. It's written in Sanskrit, not in English. Just order Iranda powder. It has the same effect as castor oil. These are all Gokshura. Gokshura is the most important dravya for Mutravaha Shrotasis, for the kidneys, for anything to do with Mutravaha Shrotasis, pretty much. But it's a rasayana. Brahmi is both a rasayana, and of course it's a nervine tonic too. Punarnava is again also in the women's support. Then we talked about Panchamula, Brihatmula, Dashamula. We don't need to know every single herb that goes in Dashamula, Panchamula, but also Kapikachu. Kapikachu is a rasayana. It's specifically given for male fertility, for increasing libido, for clearing Mutravaha Shrotasis, especially in men. That's not its original use, but it's used a lot, specifically with other herbs for this purpose. We've talked about Brahmi. Bringaraj also, of course, in India, Brahmi and Bringaraj is given more for their properties of making beautiful hair than, but of course, it's amazing. Again, Gokshura is also a nervine tonic and also Rasayana. Ashwagandha, again, Rasayana, a nervine tonic. Women support. We know this. Shatavari, Vidari, Anantamula. Anant means one who is countless qualities. Mula, anything where say Mula meaning root. And if you were to buy Dashamula, because you would need Dashamula for any kind of Vata pacifying to make Dashamula Kvatha, please buy the roots. They're a little bit more expensive, but if you don't have patients and clients knocking on your door, and I've been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, if you don't have clients walking on your door, they will lose their efficacy. But if it's in the roots are actually in the root form, they will stay much longer. They can stay for a year, 2 years or so. But if it's in a powdered form, then you're gone. So when you convert it into a ghritam or a swarasa or a fermented wine or a kvat or ark, it stays for years and years and years and years. And shelf life is very, very important to us because we don't even want to waste any herbs. There's a lot more Dravya and Guduchyadi Varga than I've written here, but a lot of them are not available here in US, so I just didn't bother. I focused on herbs that are easily available and that you already have studied, because the focus is how to create these herbs into a kalpana and a formula. So the moral of the story is we are not going to give a Guduchi pill or castor pill or Brahmi pill or Punarnava pill. It has to be in a Swarasa, Hima, Fanta, Arishtam, Leha, Ghritam form, because it has to be a kalpana for it to work. And of course, for specifically for liver, gallbladder, Kutaj, Kumari, Nimba, Bilva, of course. And then Bilva is, of course, intestines also. Bamsha. So if you remember, Bamsha or Bamsha Lochan is given for cough. A few more things. Let me see if I can find more about that. Okay. Bamsha, sometimes called Bamsha Lochan. So when it's the actual bamboo that grows in trees, the bamboo that panda climbs over basically, but the Indian bamboo. But the inner portion of the bamboo is used, not the outer that you see growing. The inner portion is used and powdered pretty much. So I want to talk a little bit about Eranda because I don't think we talked so much about Eranda in block 2. We did a little bit. So Eranda or castor, it's very sweet, extremely heating, and it's actually extremely hard to digest. So obviously anything that is a root form or hard to digest, you have to cook it to make it easily digestible. You have to add other herbs to it and make a kalpana that's easily digestible. It is very important for pain relief in Ayurveda because we do not believe in painkillers as much or too many painkillers. Also swelling, bladder issue, head, abdomen. It is actually recommended for inguinal and scrotal hernia, and also cough. There's a few varieties of castor. There is a specific variety called the red variety, and then there's the white variety. The white is Shukla and red is Rakta. And again, the beautiful thing about, let me just write it in a whiteboard here. So you have the red variety and you have the white variety. And interestingly enough, leaves are used, seeds are used, and marrow, pulp is used. So usually when we are talking about the oil, it's usually coming from the leaves. It may also come from the seeds. So basically the leaves are Vata Kapha and they destroy pathogens, worms, and they actually will increase Pitta because Eranda is very heating. And it's actually one of the most suggested herb for people with abdominal tumors. Not, it helps to manage it. Let's put it that way. It's not to cure it, but help managing a tumor of the abdomen, and also pain in the urinary bladder. And in Ayurveda, there's 7 kind of issues related to enlargement of the scrotum, and it helps with all the 7 kinds of vriddhi of this issue. So this is the leaves of Eranda, and obviously this is not internal, this is external application of Eranda leaves. And if you, I actually have a video of me many years ago. I was with my teacher in India and we're cooking Eranda leaves in this little kitchen. Maybe if I find it, I'll share. You'll see me as a student there. And then of course you have the seeds that of course come out of the fruits. Again, it is suggested for tumor of the abdomen, also for enlargement of liver and spleen. It is suggested because what it's doing is it's cleansing out whatever's causing that enlargement. So it's focusing specifically if that has happened due to where there's toxins. It's cleansing out those toxins to help it go back in its original original size. And of course, seeds will also Agni Deepan. And you don't, if, now think about it, liver is a pitta organ, and seeds help in, the seeds of castor are helping in the diseases of liver and spleen. But if I were to give Irana to someone who has liver and spleen enlargement or disease, won't their pitta go high? So what is the, how do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile that? You make it into a kalpana so that the heating property is pacified. That's why we don't want to give castor pills. We want to make it into a kalpana so that when we give it for liver issues or spleen issues or even for hemorrhoids, or then we want to make the kalpana in such a way that the pungent and the heating nature of Eranda should be pacified by something cooling that is mixed with it. Is it making sense why kalpana is so important in management of disease? Doesn't make sense, because how can you give something which is amazing? Yes, it does. It does. That's why we need to know how to make it, or we need to know something that, when you read the ingredients of something and you see it has Aranda in it, and you see other things, and you know that these are the right ingredients. If you're not, even if you yourself not preparing it. And then I didn't talk about the pulp, I think. So pulp is basically a purgative. So when people will do panchakarma, especially the shodhan, during panchakarma they will give the pulp of Aranda mixed with senna. So it's not just a purgative, it just, oh my God, it leaves you so depleted. Yeah, lung, because it's heating. If there's lung congestion, it's but Monica ji, because because of inflammation, because it is heating, and if there's inflammation and heat in the lungs, then maybe it can be mixed with some cooling oil. Does it make sense? I mean, castor oil is awesome. There is no, it's Iranda patra, or the leaves are awesome. The pulp is awesome. It's used for everything. I mean, it's a superstar. But it's so heating. It is so pungent. And we need to use it for everybody, whether they're Vata, Pitta, Kapha, age, whatnot. But we need to do it in such a way that obviously you don't want to give a purgative effect to someone who is old. So you need to look at contraindications if the person is ready for it or not, or whether it's an actual application, a lepa, or it's internal and whatnot. And I have seen it being given, I don't know how to pronounce it, Ascites. Is that the right way to pronounce it, Monica G. Andrew? Ascites? Ascites. When there is water retention in the abdomen, then also the marrow, the pulp is given for getting rid of it. So Guduchyadi Varga, especially because also you can mix bilva, because remember we talked about how bilva will, then this is my formula. Bilva, castor, Aranda, and Gokshura, and Punarnava. Here is a few things about Kutuja. Kutuja, I had somebody asking me just yesterday if they could take Kutuja for a detox they're doing. I said absolutely not, because this person was postpartum, and yes, she needed to detox because she had a lot of ama, and it was pitta ama. But Kutuja is extremely goodness. It's so, I would use it as more like a shodhan and a deep cleansing in panchakarma. So instead of Kutuja, I gave Bhaumya Amalaki and Guruchi. Why? Because this woman is postpartum, even though she's postpartum for a while, and Bhaumya Amalaki and Guruchi are like rasayanas. They will detoxify the liver and do the job without depleting her. So Kutaja, absolutely not. And her problem was in Rakta Dhatu. Her problem was Rakta Dhatu. But still, I did not give Kutaja. Are you understanding where I'm coming from? You need to, there are many herbs that are good for A, B, C, D. You need to decide whether you want to give something gentle or you want to give something forceful. So Kutaja, I would give to someone, who is part of my Panchakarma program. Kapikachu, I just talked a little bit about it. It is tridoshic. It's best for vata issues. It has a affinity for shukra dhatu and reproductive fluids. So that is why it's used for increasing shukra in men. It also has an affinity for mamsha meda. And mala is, so here again, mala is purisha. It is excreted through purisha. Again, this is also excreted through purisha. It also has an external, tulsi leaves can also be tied on wound. A lepa of haridra or turmeric can be tied on the wound. So can kapikachu. Here you go. Importance, Krimigna, Parkinson support in Ayurveda. We've already done this. Brahmi, I won't even bother. But I just want to talk about how we want to give Brahmi. Now, Brahmi is amazing for all 7 dhatus. I wouldn't say it's tridoshic. It is for a kapha person, it has to have some kapha pacifying herbs as well in the kalpana. For vata person, more vata pacifying, depending on which dosha you're giving it to, which dhatu. Brahmi will be excreted both through urine and hair. That is why it is excellent for hair support, because it's excreted through the hair. How? Because the hair is the mala of asti dhatu. So it's a medhya rasayan, nervine tonic, astringent, it suppresses appetite, can increase blood pressure. So avoid in those with hypertension. Now, block 3, we need to be aware of contraindications. You may think this is a very simple herb. It will not, people are sensitive, especially if they've never taken any herb. I've had someone almost faint. She fainted when I was making cumin. I just dry roasted cumin and she almost fainted. This woman had MS and she had fibromyalgia and she was on those steroid thingies. Her face was so red, she just passed out, and then she came up. She also had not eaten all day, but I was like, oh, what was it? She said it was just the smell of that thing you were cooking. Anyway, so how would you give Brahmi? You would give Brahmi in a few forms. It can be given, no pills, please. Pill is okay for, So when you're giving in a dried pill form, the efficacy of the herb is only, you're just using 10 or maybe 20% of the herb. When you're giving it in a prash, in a jam form or arishta form or ghee form or tailam, then the efficacy you're increasing by 50, 60, 70%. Does it make sense? Oh, I'm so happy, Tracy, and that connected the dots for you. That's what we aim to do. So herein there's again, Vidari will be excreted through mutra, and the organs that it's related to is stomach and intestine, and this you want to make Shirapak with it. We talked about Shirapak in the last class. You want to actually mix it in. And one thing, I don't know if I talked about it, when you are, of course, when you want to increase anything, increase the dhatus or increase energy, Brahman, then you want to boil things in milk, but do not put fresh leaves in the milk. It must be dried powder. Does it make sense? Because I was just thinking, did I tell them whether it has to be a dried powder or not? So there are 2 types of Gokshura, Laghu and Brihat. The big Gokshura, which is not sold here, which nobody uses, except there is one formula by, I can't remember what it's called. Brian, you may know this formula. It's a formula by Maharishi Ayurveda, urinary support formula for, and that's the only one I found that had the big Gokshur. And the big Gokshur, or it's called Bada Goku, Baba Gokshur or Bada Gokshur. That's the one which is more powerful, but mostly what's sold in the United States is the smaller one. It is heavier to digest, that's why it has to be cooked into a kalpana. If you can find the leaves, again, they can be you can make a lepa with it and tie on wounds. Internally, majja dhatu, so majja dhatu, nervous system, bone marrow, annavashrotas, digestive system, mutravash, pranavashrotas. It's also a rasayana, so it will, whatever it's passing through, it will make stronger. Laxative, expectorant, aphrodisiac, dissolves calculi. So maybe Leah, you would be interested in, Leah Jones would be interested in sharing the Asmari presentation one of these days. She did a really awesome research presentation on kidney stones back in 2013-14. And I think you mentioned all the kalpanas in there. So maybe we'll do that. If you're interested in doing kidney stones, and she can do that with you. And for Punarnava, some of the formulations that we want to use for whether it is for edema, inflammation, as a diuretic, rasayana, even for eyes, Punarnava Asa and Punarnavadi Mandur. So these are the two ones that you would find. Sometimes you will see some things are in Ghi form, but they're not available in Asa form. The Bhringaraj, usually you can get quite a few Bhringaraj Kalpanas. So my time is up. I just want to show you what we have, how to prepare Kalpanas from Guduchyadi Varga. So polyuria. So this actually not just Guduchi, you can do it with Gokshur powder also. So you get the Gokshur, bulk herbs if you buy, you take the Gokshur powder and you mix about half a teaspoon of the powder with a little bit of honey. It has pretty much the same effect as this one, Prameha diabetes, and also presence of proteins and sugar in the urine. But if you were to do a mix of Guduchi and mix of Gokshur, imagine how you're increasing the efficacy, 25, 30 times. You can actually get fresh leaves of neem in Indian stores. If you can't, just the neem powder with honey. I have actually used this Swarasa of neem. I can't record this. Yeah. It just hurts me when babies are given, such. I know it's needed sometimes. I get it. But it's hard for them. So, Shatavari, we all know its benefits, how amazing it is for women, but also for when someone has pain, men or women, pain and inflammation due to Pitta. So, Swarasa of Shatavari. And imagine if you were to do Swarasa of Shatavari and do Ashwagandha, maybe not Ashwagandha, maybe Ashwagandha in milk. So that'll take care of inflammation, pain, Vata pain, and everything. So are you understanding how things get combined? If you know the category and if you know the basic guideline, you know which ones can be given together. And don't have to mix them together, but even one is given at lunchtime and one is given at dinner time. Swarasa of Brahmi, you can actually buy a ready-made Swarasa of Brahmi from Indian store. They just call it Brahmi juice. Again, it tastes nothing like the real thing, but it's there. Mix it with a little bit of honey. Actually, the ready-made already has honey in it. And disorders like Unmad and even people who have seizures and whatnot. Or, they tend to have seizures because it keeps them kind of in a relaxed state. So, Kutuja for ulcerative colitis, diarrhea, atisar, very, very amoebic dysentery, very loose stools, and whatnot. Usually in India, when somebody will get typhoid and they can't hold anything down, they just get pumped up with antibiotics. But even after the antibiotics are done, the virus really stays in your system. That's when you want to give the Swaras of Kutuja. Does that make sense? It's like how you combine it. I mean, at that time it's needed, but once you're discharged, at that time your body is so weak Then doing these, so all of these are actually the entire Varga. Last slide, I promise. I mean, in a nutshell, it pretty much detoxifies and strengthens. So you have to make one of these recipes, any one you like. And this can be also used in the other homework that Leah gave you last week, where you have to make one Hima Fanta Swarasa by February 21st. So you can choose any herb from Guduchyadi Varga, Karpuradi Varga, Pushpa Varga, but it has to be for a very specific purpose. You're making for which person? For diabetes? Are you making for pain? Are you making for what are you making it for? Very, very specific. So I'm giving you some recipes here. There's a few more recipes if you want to do that. Uh, if you do not have leaves, you can do, so you can do neem paste, you can do, and then of course there's some few other Amrit Kashaya. Brahmi Drakshadi Kashaya is like a kashaya made of um, dates and Brahmi. And then, of course, you have a very, very famous Dashamula Panchakoladi Kashaya. This one I won't even get into because we do a separate class just on ghee. But these are just some examples for you so you can look at them and decide which one you will make for your Feb 21st. That's it. Sorry I went on a little longer.